I'll wait. It kind of trumps whatever I'm gonna do. Good evening. Welcome to the Ording City Council meeting for June the 29th, 2026. My name is Scott Brennan. I'm the mayor of the city of Ording, and I will be chairing this meeting for the Ording City Council. For council members participating through virtual attendance, please ensure you are attending from a private place free of interruptions or distractions. This meeting is being held in person and through the platform Zoom. A link for virtual can be found on the agenda or on the city's website. We will start this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Tracy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Ford.
Here.
Councilmember.
Present.
Councilmember.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Sprout.
Present.
Councilmember Holland.
Present.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You
but they can't
muted,
hear us.
Stan?
No, I'm not. Can you
He is
hear us?
not. I can hear him.
Councilmember Hogan
Present.
and Councilmember Root.
Present.
Roll is complete. We have a.
Thank you.
Stanley's got his hand raised.
They can hear us, but they.
Can you guys hear us?
Okay, thank you. Councilors will be recognized this evening with a raise of the
I
hand
guess
for
not.
motions to move or second. Comments and questions will be by rotation. When speaking through the chair for questions, identify staff by position. Are there any requests for additions or modifications to the agenda for this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to public comments. This is an opportunity for the public to make comments to the council about any matter on city business that is not on the agenda this evening. Please begin with providing us with your name and general location of residence inside or outside of Ording. If you ask a question of council, the council's rules do not allow for back and forth dialogue. This means that they will respond with silence. If action is requested, the chair will refer the matter to the appropriate administrative staff member or committee. If you'd like to be contacted, please check yes with your contact information on the sign-up sheet at the door. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and you'll be given 5 minutes if you're speaking on behalf of an organization. At the end of your time, you will hear an alarm. Please use the alarm as notification to finish your thoughts in a sentence or two at most. The chair will stop the comment if it extends beyond the time limit. Written comments. Written comments sent to the city clerk by 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting will be read into the record at the meeting or distributed to city council depending on the length of the statement. Written comments received after 3 p.m. deadline will be read into the record at the next council meeting or distributed to council depending on the length of the statement. Zoom comments. Citizens may provide comments via Zoom platform when recognized by the clerk. Agenda item comments. Comments on the agenda items will follow the same rules. People wishing to comment on an agenda item will be called upon following the council member comments, but prior to a vote. If you wish to speak on an agenda item, please come to the podium to be recognized. Madam Clerk, do we have any written comments to be submitted that were submitted prior to the deadline that need to be read into the record?
No, Mayor.
Madam Clerk, do we have any registered people to speak this evening?
No one has signed up on our sheet.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who would wish to speak to council prior to the business meeting starting? Nope. Okay. Seeing none. We'll move on to new business. AB 2678 capital improvement plans, leading off with City Administrator Mark Bethune and City Engineer J.C. Hungerford.
Thank you, Mayor. Just remind the council, this is my last meeting with you. It's been a pleasure to serve you these past 6 months. Thank you. So we got J.C. Hungerford from Parametrics to talk about our capital improvement plans. I want to say that it was very sobering for me personally to look at all of the equipment that we have, all the facilities that we have. And I was trying to figure out in my head about how much that stuff was worth. And I came up with a number of 150 to $200 million in infrastructure we have. And that's not including the pipes, the miles and miles of pipes in the ground. So sobering as we look at this. All of these things need maintenance, repair, and replacement. So go ahead, JC. Got to push the button in.
Test, yeah, better? Good test. Okay. All right. Excuse me, good evening, council. So as Mark mentioned, I'm gonna walk through the capital improvement plans that have been prepared by combination of Parametrics. Parametrics has been working on your water and stormwater CIP, and Wilson Engineering prepared the sewer CIP. So the process is going through the utility plans, the 3 various utilities, working closely with city staff as well as consultants to analyze the current condition of your system, understand the needs, and then work with city staff to prioritize those needs in combination with, like Mark said, AP gas says, things that need to be replaced to life cycle and things like that. In addition to that, there's a modeling exercise that will happen on all 3 utilities, which identify capacity constraints out in those pipes that Mark mentioned. So, increasing the pipe size for fire flow or, better pressure and resiliency on your water side, sewer capacity for larger sewer mains, as well as stormwater to reduce surface flooding and surcharge of those pet basins, getting that water out into the liquid. So as a whole, your capital improvement program is broken down. What I did here is broke it down into near-term needs, immediate needs, which is 2025 to 2028, and I know we're in 2026. Some of these planning exercises started in 2025, so you'll see that planning date on some of them starting in 25 to 28. Then near-term needs being 2029 to 2031. And then longer term, 2032 to the planning horizon on all 3 plans being 2045. So in combination, your utilities are as follows. Your water has approximately capital improvement need of $60 million. Sewer, approximately $102 million. And stormwater, $29 million. And that is all before 2045, which will go into your rate structure. Your rate consultant will analyze that and prepare a rate for you to consider for adoption. So on your water system, breaking down the various capital needs, about 2% of that is planning. So that's like engineering, the planning documents, preparation of your water system plan, your risk and resiliency assessment. I'll go into these projects a little more in detail and explain them to you. Source improvements is about 21% of your utilities need, 4% of storage improvements, 32% of O&M, and then 41% within your distribution system. So these are just a few pictures of the water system. You can see there upper left is well 2 building. Then we've got Harmon Springs and Wingate Springs storage reservoirs. As you can see, they're aged and they're going to show up in your CIP as capital projects, needing a little bit of investment. So on the immediate needs side of things, like I mentioned, this is looking at current data to 2028, so the next few years. The telemetry and master plan is something we've talked about.
here at council and as well as staff. That's updating your SCADA and telemetries. It's a plan that you would be looking at standardize that across your utilities. So it's not actual construction, but it's deciding what components are going to go into telemetry, which is your communication aspect. And then SCADA is actually your controls aspect. When the operator goes into the individual system, they see what's going on, like level sensors on a reservoir, aquifer levels, etc. Disinfection upgrades, which is when we pull the water out of the wells, the city uses chlorine to disinfect the water, which kills microorganisms and bacteria in there. So there's various disinfection upgrades that are shown in your CIP in front of you at the various sources. What's happening there is the components that the city has are just old. They're not readily available anymore. So it's come time to find newer equipment. So you're not literally finding eBay pieces. It's a resiliency thing. So you can have spare parts on the shelf. Harmon Springs is an older site on the outside of town. I haven't shown these on the map just due to security issues, but I think a lot of you know where Harmon Springs is. It has some slope stability issues and some old infrastructure associated with the intake pipes for the spring itself. So there's a two-phase project shown there in your capital improvement plan. Phase one is improvement on some of those pipes. Phase two is site stability and seismic analysis of that as well. Those SCADA upgrades, after you go through your SCADA and telemetry plan, a lot of those old controls components in your facilities are old. So we've got about $685,000 in SCADA upgrades across the system in the next few years. Also, we have that distribution system side of things that I mentioned is a very high expense. So River Avenue has an AC main. The design's been done. It's ready for construction. So that's shown in your capital improvement plan that it costs us $750,000. And then 3 ongoing projects, the SR 162 Fish Passage. So that's between here and Wingate Springs on SR 162, WashDOT's planning 2 fish passage projects at Card and Roush Creek, as well as a roundabout in Norville Road. As part of your franchise utility agreement with WashDOT, the conditions state that if they're going to come to a project, you're obligated to replace the water line as part of that project. And unfortunately, we don't really have a say in that. So we have to bring it up to current standards to meet current WashDOT standards. And that's a current cost of $1.6 million. So it'll be happening here in the next couple of years. Kansas Street main is going in right now. Actually, the main is in the ground at a cost of $1.2 million. And then White Hawk Boulevard is the extension project to where it connects at Kansas. Water line extension there at a cost of $1.5 million. So that's a project that is in design. Construction is not currently funded on that. Near-term projects, like I said, I highlighted those around 2029 to 2031. So that's the next 3 years of capital planning. You have to go through another risk and resiliency assessment. So that is a federal mandate. You're currently going through certification years right now. The next cycle will come up in that planning horizon at a cost of about $158,000. I showed you on the first slide, Wall 2. So Wall 2 is an older site. It's not currently connected to the city's distribution system. And as we've gone through modeling, talked through with city staff about resiliency, and if you were to have an event where you had a disconnection of pipes, having Wall 2 reconnected to your system really helps reinforce your water system on a pressure, resiliency, fire flow standpoint. So you've got the water right there. The cost to rehab that and then increase the pipe sizes to connect that to the distribution system to get that increase in pressure is about $6.8 million. A few more disinfection upgrades at your sites to update those chlorine monitoring and pump systems. Additional SCADA upgrades at a cost about $700,000. Another thing in there that was identified as part of your risk and resiliency assessment is adding additional distribution valves in your distribution system to give you a little bit more flexibility if we have a seismic event within your system and we have broken pipes, right now, the valves aren't really reliable in the way that there's not enough there. And some of them just are old and won't fully seat. So adding valves in strategic locations throughout your system and, basically at intersections, key intersections. So operators, if there's a main break, gives them that flexibility to turn off valves and reroute around the main break and keep folks in service, keep essential services to your residents and businesses. A few more AC water main replacements. You have sections of AC water main throughout the system. City's budgeted at that, the various segments through your water system plans, since I've been working with the city. Right now that's shown at about 380,000 in a couple of your segments to get some projects done. A few, segments of water line, or one segment of water line that is undersized that was shown in the, model is the Boland main replacement. And then in addition, in your, franchise utility agreement with WashDOT, you're mandated to replace all those service crossings where those crossing services serve the residences outside of the city boarding. They're not deep enough. So on the planning horizon, you have to go through and replace all those services to the residents at a deeper location, at least 5.5 feet under the city highway. And so what we would do for those is go through, bore those underneath the highway, so you do trenchless construction, but getting all those done at a cost of about $160,000. And then there's various fiber flow improvements throughout the city. I kind of clump those all together in this planning horizon. You'll see on the bottom of your CIP, it lists various hydrants that were shown in that modeling exercise that aren't meeting fire flow. So in this 3-year horizon, about $1.2 million of capital costs allocated to those. Longer term, these are the 2031 through 2045. So likely outside the horizon of your current rate study, but there are longer term projects that are just out there that have been identified through the water system planning exercise. 10 years from now, you'll have to go through another state mandated water system plan and another federal risk and resiliency assessment. So those are lumped together in one planning year of $550,000. As I mentioned, that 2-phase program project at Hermit Springs, it comes up in that planning horizon of $2.1 million. Wingate Springs Reservoir, you saw that on the first water slide, a cost of seismic retrofit of about $600,000. And then well 1 seismic retrofit is a square concrete reservoir here in the city that has shown cracking over time. So showing a seismic analysis and retrofit of $1.8 million on that one. Additional valve replacements throughout the duration of the CIP at a cost of about $1 million. And then additional EC water main replacements at $1.5 million spread throughout. So that's not one large project. It's getting a few done every few years. The Wingate main replacement and the SR 162 main replacement combined at a cost of about $11 million. So that is replacing your water line from essentially city limits all the way out to Wingate, all the sections that aren't replaced as part of that SR 162 fish passage project. That is also part of your franchise utility agreement with WashDOT. It doesn't meet the current cover requirements, it leaks, and so at the very least, the section from town to 177th, where it heads up to Wingate, WashDOT's going to require the city to replace that at deeper but more current ductile iron pipe. And that section is $6.8 million within the state right away. Obviously, it's a very large project, but the state is going to require the city to replace that. And then the last one that's on there, well out on the planning horizon as well, it's been talked about for a long time, and that would be a emergency intertie with the Tacoma Water. So Tacoma Water would be on the north end of town here, out of High Cedars. If you were to have an event where you, for some reason, your wells were offline, you couldn't meet pressure, Their water system is there. Unfortunately, they're at a much lower pressure gradient than the city, so that would require a booster pump station to boost their water at a high enough pressure to come into your system. So with the piping, it's a pretty short run of pipe to come through the golf course or along SR 162, but the pump station is the high cost there. Combined with those two is $2.3 million. So next I'm going to talk to you about sewer. As I mentioned early on, sewer's got their highest capital needs. Breaking these down into the categories that Wilson Engineer broke them down. 2% on your general, 2% on pump stations, and then 19% costs of your CFP within your collection system, and then 77% at your treatment plant or water reclamation facility, water resource reclamation facility, excuse me. So here's a few pictures of your treatment plant and some of the components that I'll talk about here briefly within the capital projects. In the upper left is the service entrance here. That's where the electricity comes into the treatment plant. Upper right, you can see the headworks. I know it's hard to see, so I apologize for that. Headworks on the bottom of the photo, and then the lagoons in the background. Lower left photo inside that building, that's your UV disinfection system. So that's the last thing that happens before the water goes into the river. UV disinfection kills the bacteria, is discharged in the river. And then the lower right, that's your motor control center for your headwork system, your 3 influent pump center. So immediate needs within the sewer system up to 2028 includes a flow monitoring study at a cost of about $155,000. Replacing the pumps at the Village Green pump station. So within the Village Green residential development, there's a sewer pump station, the pumps are of age, and there's a capital cost of about $382,000 to replace those pumps in this, the hole itself. So in the wet well, that pumps out to the collection system because it's too low in the collection system for it to flow gravity to the treatment plant. So it flows by what's called the force main all the way to the treatment plant from Village Green. Those pumps are aged out. They're no longer efficient and not pumping. So through the general sewer plan, it was identified that they should be replaced. Biosolids removal at a cost of $1.8 million from your lagoon. And then headworks design, monitoring wells installation, electrical design at a cost of $1.5 million. So that's just the design of those, not the actual construction. The construction is reflected in the next few years of the CM. So for the next few years, 2029 to 2031, I&I rehab at $225,000. Looks like I put it was $225, but $225,000 a year. So I&I is infiltration and inflow. And what that is your older pipes in the system. As it rains, you have joints, cracks, tree roots, your clean drinking water, high groundwater in the system comes into those pipes. And then you're paying a huge price to treat clean drinking water, or not drinking water, but clean water at your wastewater treatment plant. So when I say a cheap way, obviously the projects are expensive, but a more cost efficient way to buy plant capacity is to tighten up your collection system, your manholes and your pipes, so you're not getting clean non-wastewater into your treatment plant headworks, and then running that through the complete treatment system and essentially maxing out the capacity of your plant as a result of that. So $225,000 a year going around the city and systematically either lining manholes or relining pipes. Replacing pipes is another way, but within sewer, we tend to try to do in situ replacement where you push a belt resin impregnated liner through the pipe, creates a new pipe. It can be steam cured or UV cured, and it's a great method to basically put new pipes inside the hole. Headworks construction, I talked about that in the last slide, the design. Construction is reflected at $7.5 million. So that's where your wastewater comes into your treatment plant. is screened, all those nasty things that are in that flush, toilet paper, etc. Needs to be screened before it goes through all your equipment into your treatment plan. So you get efficient treatment and rocks, gravel, you can imagine when it comes into a treatment plant, is screened out and put into a dumpster. Incredibly important component of your treatment plant to protect that downstream really expensive infrastructure. Also necessary to meet Class A and Class B biosolids, so we take that out at the headworks of the plant. So new screens, coarse and fine screens, which would be installed in a way if the city desires to either do an upgrade to membrane construction, or membrane treatment, or newer treatment technologies. Thinking ahead as you design that, as well as, like I said, Class A or Class B biosolids, making sure you have the flexibility there. Your current channel into the treatment plant is single. You would add a second, so you'd have redundancy there. If one goes down, you have the ability to switch into the secondary channel and maintain the headworks in operation. UV disinfection upgrades, as I showed that photo. Your UV system's great. It was one of the first closed conduit. So there's two types of UV disinfection, either open channel or closed pipe flow. Because of the hydraulics of your treatment plant, you have what is the closed pipe type, so it's inside the pipe. It was one of the first in the state. Great system, but it's at its design life and needs to be replaced. There's much more energy efficient options out there, and less operation in terms of replacing bolts, those type of things. So operation costs on the newer systems are a lot less. Electrical systems on the entire treatment plant that would cost over about $5.6 million. Your electrical system is old, and it's maintained as best it can be. It's still operating, but at an EPA design life of 25 years, you've exceeded that, and it's time to think about replacing some of the electrical infrastructure in the plant. SCADA improvements on the treatment plant side of things and within your wastewater system, it costs about $2.1 million. And then a lab and operations building of $2.3 million are reflected in there as well. Long-term projects up to 2045 on the sewer side. Rehab of the Village Train lift station and the Carbon River lift station, $2.7 million and $4.1 million respectively. Those two lift stations are residential systems that were put in when those developments were designed, and they're exceeding design life, and so at some point would be rehab of the electrical components, rehabbing the wet well itself, the piping components. The wastewater is just really part of all those things, and so at 25 to 30 years, you want to be replacing those. Plant upgrade, design and construction at $31 million. Obviously, that's a huge cost, but your treatment plant has been in for a long time, and the newer technologies for upgrading your current SBR technology are things to be considered. I know the city has considered going to a membrane system or more efficient SBR technology. It's expensive, but that would be an upgrade to your treatment plant. Replacement of the liner of $5 million, and then the general sewer plant also recommends a pump station for your outfall. So if the river's high and you can't discharge because your system runs entirely on gravity, once you go through the headworks, pump it, and it runs gravity all the way through your treatment system out to the river. If you have a flood event, in some instances, you can't discharge wastewater. So this would add a pump station, allowing you to discharge into the Carbon River during flood events at a cost of $4.4 million. And then a decant structure, $2 million. What that is a structure within the treatment plant allowing for backer trucks. If you go out, the city goes out and backs out your step tanks. That is shown in the capital improvement plan within your general sewer plan of $2 million. Stormwater, I think is probably a little boring compared to the other two. A little bit smaller, but very important in the city. As you know, we get a lot of rain here, and river flooding as well as urban flooding in the city is a huge concern, and something we always want to keep an eye on. So this one's broken down a little bit more simple, 20% on the O&M side of things and 80% on capital improvements. So these are a few projects of stormwater projects that have been done, or excuse me, a few photos of stormwater projects that have been done here recently. Upper left is outfall structure where the water goes out into the Puyallup River. Upper right is the Kansas outfall piping system, and by the city shop there. So you can see large manholes, large pipes moving a lot of water out to the river. So immediate needs are a lot of projects that are ongoing right now. So White Hawk Boulevard, the design of that roadway would have a $2 million storm improvement associated with that. You see Kansas on there as well at $661,000. Rainier Meadows storm pond retrofit at $900,000. So the storm pond back over here at Rainier Meadows, the city was required to go through what was called a SMAP. And it's an exercise to look where some improvements can be made within your system. That was the project that was identified with city staff and retrofitted that storm pond of $900,000. Bridge Street Southeast and River Street outfall at $685,000. Calistoga Street East drainage improvements $230,000. On Weitzel Street Northwest and Eldridge Avenue Northwest drainage improvements $423,000. A lot of these, what you're going to see on the stormwater side, are through the modeling exercise. We see flooding nodes where we see during a 25-year storm event, we start to see water not getting into the system, and it surcharges those catch basins. That's where you see water standing in the roads, or there's not a system altogether there, and adding a system so you get better drainage within the levees here. Near-term projects, additional outfall at the Worthing High School at $1.1 million. As we're talking with the developer, depending on timing, that's something that sometimes can be a partnership with your developers here in town. Calistoga Street East, stormwater improvements, $380,000. Ammons Lane and Weitzel Street, $790,000. Corin Avenue, $465,000. There's also some ongoing things in there on the management side of things. Stormwater management plan is something that per your MPDS permit with ecology, you have to maintain, and that costs you about $100,000 a year. And then just general runoff control from developments, construction, etc., at about $210,000 a year. That's reflected in there. We put as much ownership as we feasibly can on our developers to control runoff, but sometimes there's additional components of that that are required of the city. Long-term projects, Corin Avenue Southeast, $1.8 million. Additional culverts and all outfalls at the water reclamation facility at $1.3 million. And then those last two, once again, are repeated. The stormwater management plan of $100,000 a year and runoff control. So looking at your combined CIP, immediate projects combined add up to a total of about 14% or $26.2 million. Near-term projects, $42 million and 22% of your CIP, and then longer term, $122 million or 64% of your CIP. So how do we pay for all this? That's always the question, right? So obviously, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, your rate consultant's working really hard on this, and we'll put all these into a model and then present a rate structure for you to consider. One thing to do is, consider delaying projects, modifying projects. Some of these, unfortunately, are mandated by your permits and things like that, but we can do the best we can to keep those costs down. On the drinking water side of things, what you have in front of you for grants and loans that are readily used by the city are the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, DWSRF, Public Works Trust. Cities had good success with those, typically on the loan side of things, and then obviously municipal bonds. Sewer side of thing, once again, rates, grants and loans. Ecology has a great grant and loan cycle. So in order to be eligible for that, you have a general sewer plan and a CIP that reflects those projects. Ecology approves your general sewer plan. You can then apply for funding. You meet with them, talk with them, and then you're eligible. Put together an application. It's highly competitive, but it's a great way that many cities get large and small projects funded. And then the Public Works Trust Fund. City currently has a $10 million loan with Public Works Trust Fund to work on the Headworks project. So great opportunity to fund at low interest there and get some work done at low interest loan. And sometimes they even have principal forgiveness on some of those as well. So that's a great opportunity. Once again, municipal bonds. Stormwater side of things, aside from rates and bonds, ecology stormwater capacity grants, Public Works Trust Fund program, and then also the city is a member of the Pierce County Flood Control Zone District, so all the residents pay property tax to be a part of that. It has a competitive grant cycle as well as a opportunity fund where a certain percentage of that comes back to the community every year. And you can apply that to capital projects. And the city has done that in the past to get capital projects done. And that's not competitive. It's automatically given back to the city, builds up in a bank for you. If and when you're ready to do it, it's pretty simple paperwork. Fill it out. They obligate that reimbursement based. But as you're building or designing things, those things are eligible for those funds. That was a lot of information. Happy to answer your questions the best I can, or participate in discussion.
Thank you, Engineer Rutherford. Comments or questions from council? Member Reed.
And the city kept up with requesting money from that pool that's kept for us?
The Pierce County, I think they're working on it right now.
We've applied for all that's in it.
Exactly what it is, but it's like less than $50,000 a year, I believe. So getting a capital project done on an annual basis is pretty limiting, but allowing that to build up over the years and then leveraging it on a capital project is what a lot of cities do.
Yeah, we're in a situation of where we
May be able to potentially apply it to the Kansas Street project for the stormwater upgrades for it. So we're currently working on that. Approximately $228,000. So very good. Councilmember Hogan.
Sure, too long of a presentation. I got all kinds of notes. Remember a couple years ago, they redid a crossing out on the highway out by they had to dig up the highway and put up some new pipe. Was that for in town or was that for?
So that was one of those water service crossings that we did. And that one, because I'm drawing a blank of what that road is directly across from Wall 1 there, but there's multiple services. So instead of replacing a whole bunch of services, we extended a main across there. We actually did open cut construction on that and then put the services on the other side of the highway. So that was one of those projects that's a little bit higher capital cost versus one crossing. But by extending the main, you knock a bunch of those crossings out in one project.
Right. Okay. I couldn't remember. Thank you. I, that seems like that's just a continuing, ongoing thing, is it not? I mean, we used to be really tough. We had more coming in than going out, I think, at one time. But I mean, that's something that you just got to stay on top of.
Yeah, every Valley City, City of Seattle, it's not unique to Oregon. Obviously, you have a high water table here, and it's more prevalent in older concrete pipes, the newer system with PVC, things like that. But that being said, you will see it over time. Pipes will crack because of tree roots and things like that. So.
Okay, thanks. And then you talked about the headworks. We're talking about doing a side-by-side headwork. So if one goes down, we're online. We're never offline then, like has happened in the past, correct?
Currently.
Currently. Quit
Yeah.
throwing those wipes in your toilet. And yeah, they're lying. All those things lie. I know at the plant, we have a bunch of electrical below grade. Is that gonna change? That always concerns me. Or is that norm?
That's normal. I mean, you're always gonna have some components of electrical below grade, getting the conduits to and from. You try your best to make them watertight. Over time, most have failed, but all your motor control centers, VFDs, things like that are housed in your electrical room above grade.
Because right now there's a lot of switches and stuff below grade. Is that right? I mean, from what I've seen.
Yep.
Okay, the lab building we need to get that upgraded too, correct? I mean, we're
Yeah, it's shown on. Last one on here, lab and operations, $2.3 million.
okay. And then you said we would want to put a outfall pump station in. Would that be working all the time or only as needed when we can't gravity feed out?
I think that's something that's longer term on your planning horizon. Certainly one of those projects I would recommend analyzing how much you're gonna use it, versus you have EQ storage, equalization basin, where you could potentially store some of that discharge prior to an event. Depending on how long that event is, if your EQ storage is empty, you can fill that up during an event and take advantage of that. So, where do you want to spend the money type of thing? But it certainly is if you have a high river event.
Okay. And then, thank you. And then how are we doing on our Village Green golf course outfall? Is that still an issue?
You know, we had conversations with them, they didn't go very far, so right now it's just not a part of the project.
Okay. It's just ongoing. They're just arching their backs on us. Okay, and then have we gone out for water and sewer bonds before?
Yes.
Okay. Minimal amount or
The sewer plant had a pretty good bond
Yeah,
on it,
when
but that
we-
got paid off about 10 years ago.
okay, I remember that. Okay.
And with the water, oftentimes we go out with the state drinking water revolving fund for financing it. But that's been our primary source for it, a low income finance.
Okay.
From the
So
state,
it's yeah, we're not getting
Yeah.
jacked too bad then.
Yeah, yeah, it's a special fund specifically for drinking water.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, JC. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Williams and then Councilmember Reed.
Okay, first off, with the riverbeds rising, is that creating a problem for us?
Not that, I mean, something to consider, right? I think creates challenges in discharge from your stormwater system, as well as obviously the levees. The city doesn't own and maintain the levees, so the county's been doing a pretty good job of maintaining those, increasing the height where they see the need.
So, but if they keep raising the levies and the bed keeps raising, then we're gonna become more reliant on pumping it out.
Fortunately, yeah, you know, that's how New Orleans is, it's below the river and they're pumping. And unless permits change, nobody's gonna go on the river and get any of that gravel out, so.
Yeah. So does, anybody, I mean, I guess somebody's choosing to raise the levees and let the river raise, so do they share any of the expense that it costs us, or we just eat it, huh?
You're just here, unfortunately.
Okay, then I was going through some of these and this one just kind of stuck in my head. This capital improvement cost opinion worksheet. What is that, an estimate or?
Which,
Well, this one happens to be the Wingate VFD install.
oh yeah, those worksheets are just, so those are behind the CIP itself, so those are, where we put our estimate of costs. We're working with city staff on those.
Cause this one here seems pretty extreme to me. Do you recall what size of booster pumps out there?
I would have to look, I don't off the top of my head, I don't know.
I mean, cause this is for 130,000 and you can get a VFD for a 50 horse motor for 7,000. And you
Right.
get a few transducers in there to control it. I mean, if you were at 40 or 50,000, then I could see that maybe, but 130,000. So what I'm wondering is, to me, this is way off, and I'm wondering how many others of these might be possibly way off.
Yeah, typically, you know, A will look at similar size pumps, city standards for the VFDs that they want. I know that you can get, like you said, you could go and Granger and order a VFD, but, you have to have certain ones to work with your pumps, and then induction rated motors as well. So typically at the planning level, we're just looking at similar projects that have been done in the public bidding space to use it for your capital project. And then checking those, doing QC on things like that. So, but yeah, I mean, if there are specific ones that are questions, that you have questions on the amount, like I said, we work closely with city staff on those, but certainly willing to look particularly closer look at it.
Yeah. And then even going out for bonds, do we even have the means to pay them? Service them?
That's the ratepayers. That's right.
Well, yeah, but.
Yep.
we
That's what
can't-
they look at. Do you have the ability to pay through the rates that you're getting to ensure that that is paid off?
But we can't turn around with this small population we have here. We can't ask these people to pay these tremendous price increases. I mean,
If I,
You know.
if I could add to that, one of the things which we did was we spread the cost, like what you're pointing out. You can't have these capital upgrades happening in a short time frame. So some of what was presented this evening was on a 20-year window. So the hope is that you're going to be paying, some things are going to be falling off as you go to the more long-term projects. But at that point, this is just a plan. The immediate items are more urgent we do right now, but the more long-term things, we may want to reassess as we get closer to them, because you're exactly right. We can only buy what we can afford. And that's something that you as a council will have that ability when we get there. And it's just strictly a plan and estimates that are on right now for us, I think, in the horizon and everything. So.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but just in
Yeah.
the spreadsheet in 2027, we got 3.7 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
that is, and
Yeah.
that's just 1 year.
Yeah.
You had a couple of years before it and the year after it, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So we're currently pursuing funding mechanisms, Mr.
Oh,
Bethune.
Yeah, Public Works Board and low interest loans. That's what the Reftelli's rate study is going to show you. What does it take in the rates to meet all these obligations for the next, they'll be looking up to 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, so
The initial, for instance, on the wastewater was at 25%. Right now, before we present the
Yeah.
study to you, they're looking around 6 to 7% increase,
yeah.
which is pretty substantial, but considerably less from what it was. So this evening, you all will have the opportunity, if you see something that's needs to be adjusted or removed on the CIPs, this is the time we can do that. So this is kind of where your opportunity to get that input into the plan. And then they take this plan and they use it for our rate structure. So if there's something that you see on there, one thing that we did that I can remember from very first days of being on the council was the Tacoma intertie. It's a lot of money to do that intertie. So I think he has it like on year 20 plus.
It's been on plan, it's been on your water system plan since I've started working with the city as an unplanned project.
Yeah.
So it's out in that 2031 to 2045. It's kind of stayed out there as an option. We talk with Tacoma every 5 to 10 years about the feasibility of a location and then present it as an option. That's what your planning documents are for.
Yeah. So some
That-
2050,
so-
and then nobody
yeah.
there will have to worry about it.
So some of the items that are immediate are usually related to compliance related items. So if we have things like we mentioned with the treatment plant, compliance related, the headworks is compliance related, the lagoon is compliance. So those things we can't get around. We have to do them to meet state regulations. But as you get longer out, they move into life cycle or maybe even nice to have type of thing. So, yeah.
So when you're paying that $140 a month, a portion of that is going to go through O&M and a portion of it's going to go toward capital projects. So it is part of the rate when people are paying that. Right now, you have about 12 million saved up in the sewer plan. Some of that was from GFCs, but some of that was from the rates that people have been paying because we knew we had big projects coming.
Yeah. You're gonna last long.
No.
12 doesn't go very far now.
Councilmember Reed. I'm sorry.
Are the numbers, JC, that you're putting out here, are they pretty accurate, or like John was saying, are they on the high side of everything?
So we build in contingency, especially the further out, so they're probably on the higher side, just so. What I've seen cities do is say, we do this in 2026, 10 years from now. That project is a
We're gonna-
lot more.
more
and to say,
expensive.
well, that number, 25,000 gets stuck in your mind, and then 10 years from now, you said there's 25,000, it's not anymore, right?
Right.
So we account for that, high contingencies, and we haven't gone through and selected components or designed them yet. Like I said, we just take similar projects of similar size, think about unique aspects of your projects, and some of them we have better cost estimates because we've done it many times for some of these projects. Or we have very similar projects that we can use, but some of them are a little inflated.
I know I don't have the skills and all these things to do the prices like you guys do, but I was looking at some of the costs, again, like John was doing, and hydrants in there, installation costs vary by double, like one page they're $6,000, the next page they're $12,000 a piece.
That largely has to do with, some of the ones are very unique in the way that the lateral itself, the distance from the main to the actual hydrant.
Okay.
varies. Sometimes we're put 2 in there, just kind of the site specific aspects of that. Any improvement that needs to be done on the main itself, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I did notice that and talk through with the individual that, did those cost estimates, because I saw some variability as well, so.
Thank you.
Councilmember Perez.
Yeah. Got a question on that water line that goes on Harmon Way that we're required to lower. Are we on a timeline with that, or what's the story with the state as far as requiring us to lower it?
Yeah, so yes, you are on a timeline, and your franchise utility agreement, I'm not sure when it expires. Last time we renewed it, we basically said, the city said we would do it in this planning horizon or this franchise utility agreement. I think it's a 20 or 25-year agreement. I need to get that date for you when I can, so.
Okay, so how about our AC pipe that we have in the city? Do you know how much AC pipe is out there right now?
And we have identified in the plan, I can get you that number though.
And our main goal is to replace all the AC pipe, correct?
Yeah, it's brutal. So we had a break on Kansas here when we did the tie-in. That was a section of AC. It's one of those things that kind of sleeping dog, right? It'll burst in the middle of the night, you tie into it, it breaks, those type of things. So perfectly safe for drinking water. People hear asbestos, but it's perfectly safe for drinking water. It's just brittle, really hard to dispose of, really expensive to get rid of as well.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Councilmember, Deputy Mayor Sproul.
I saw some of the listings that you had as far as where we might get grants. Any federal money out there for some of these projects that we might be able to tap into?
That was challenging because of the permitting aspects of it. So for some of your larger, maybe, but so if you get federal dollars, you federalize the project, and then your permitting windows and all your obligations for paperwork and things like that go up substantially. So you have to go from a SEPA to a NEPA process, very expensive permitting process. And so typically we say, anything, well, you want to get well over $1 million, federal dollars, if you even want to consider it. Luckily on the utility side of things, you have pretty good money that comes into the state, and it's like the EPA funds some of these programs, but then they're, I don't want to say federalized, they become state dollars, so you're gonna have to go through all those state hurdles. So you have pretty good opportunities here in the state. Not a lot of federal opportunities. There's some, but they're limited.
Thank you.
Okay, Stanley Holland, any questions from you?
Can you guys hear me now?
We're having some audio issues. We can't hear him. I can see his subtitles and I'm texting him.
Holding up a note.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, thank you. If there are no more questions from the council, I'll open it up for comments from the audience. Yes, yeah. Yeah.
You made the comment for taking gravel out of the river. Why did that?
So question for those of you that didn't hear was, why can't we dredge the rivers and who won't let us? So it's largely a permitting issue with critical fish habitat. So they have identified the gravels as spawning beds, and I do know that Pierce County did a pilot study a few years ago, removing gravel above the ordinary high water mark, so those big high gravel bars. And it was just a pilot study, and then that I haven't heard anything since then. So you cannot get a permit to do it.
Okay.
5 years. I know they did it forever. But
Yeah.
What do you do when the riverbed gets a lot higher than around here?
Setback levies.
Flood wall. The city is literally lower than the riverbed. And you have massive pump stations to pump rainwater out if you are north and down. Just
Really working all that great down there.
no, it's not.
Some are just our fault.
Yeah.
Or get some sort of problem, yeah.
Well, then we have been looked into this to see no option of dredging the river.
No, like I said, the date escapes me, but it was within the last 10 years that Pierce County was allowed to do one pilot study. And I think they did it in the Sumner area, and the results of that I'm not unsure of, but it never resulted in another project to do additional dredging.
Right. Thank you. Would anybody else in the audience wish to make a comment this evening? Okay, seeing none. Just a short comment for myself. This is a lot of info. Oh, Deputy Mayor Sproul?
One more thing. JC, can we get a copy of that presentation?
Yes, of course. So, it's a big file, so I'll make sure I get it to Danielle and then distribute it to you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just create a PDF of an email to her.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. So this was a lot of information for us to digest this evening. So we're arranging one-on-one meetings with all of you to hopefully go over if you have more questions and more time to look at and digest what you saw this evening. There's just a lot of information. Like you say, some numbers appear high. Actually, I saw some that actually appeared low. And I think the closer we get those numbers to real numbers, the better the rate study will be when we go forward. So anyway, thank you, JC. Okay, moving on to AB 2677, RFP for lagoon dredging. Interim Administrator Mark Bethune.
Yeah, thank you. So I think you're all aware that the city has made an emergency proclamation from the mayor. And at this point, we have Fire Mountain as a group, one of the only ones that could respond immediately and start dredging the lagoon. And the agreement we have with them is for up to 300 dry tons of solids to be taken out. That project will start probably in about 2 weeks. It turns out 300 dry tons isn't very much, but it's something. And Department of Ecology looks at that and says, okay, you're making a good effort, but they expect a whole lot more from us. And that's why we're asking for a new request for proposal. After this is done, we need to go out for a more dramatic removal of dredging of the lagoon. So I do have a request before you now for $57,000 to go out, in this case for parametrics, to put together a request for proposal for dredging of the lagoon. By the time this would all take place and a vendor would be chosen, probably be late August, September before that dredging would take place. And the key thing there is we don't want another winter like we just went through. This has got to be a substantial dredging of the lagoons. And we've got to figure it out. We got to know how much we need to take out. So this $57,000 is a lot of money, but this is a deep dive. I almost hate to use those terms, deep dive in the lagoon. We've really got to figure out what we've got in there and how much we've got and what it's going to actually take to ensure that we don't have another winter like we just had. And that's going to take some money. That's going to take some efforts. That's going to take a lot of measurement. JC could probably speak to that a little bit tonight. It's a lot of work to get just right. That's what we want, just right. We don't want the ratepayers paying more than they have to. This is probably a 2 or 3 year project, but we've got to do something more by this fall. Thank you.
Great. I'll call in City Engineer Hungerford to maybe talk more to the subject, and then I had a couple words before we go to council for questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so as Mr. Bethune mentioned is, so what that scope work would be prepare the bid documents, and so essentially develop the contract with your lagoon director. There's an element of a sampling analysis plan that ecology is going to require. They require that it be updated for every event. So this being another event, and the preferred method would be that a contractor come in. And this is not only preferred by the city from a cost perspective, but also ecology. They come in, they dredge it, they dewater it on site. So they use mechanical dewatering like belt filter press or centrifuge. The water component of it goes back into your lagoons. And then the solids are hauled to Eastern Washington for what they call beneficial use or land application on wheat fields. And so that's ecology's preferred. Getting all that water out reduces your trucking costs as well. So you're not hauling that water, it's heavy, and you're using a lot of fuel to get it there. So that reduces your cost. Why do you need a contract is the question that probably comes up is there's a lot of risk in hauling biosolids and they're yours. It's really hard to transfer that risk to others, but it can be done if you do it carefully. And so the contractor has to have a spill plan in place. They have to have an approved haul route. All that has to be approved by the city So when they're ready to start the construction, we approve their approach, their haul around, how they're getting from Horning to the land application site. And that way it transfers that ownership and you have the insurance in place to protect you as well as the contractor.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple words to this is the goal after we move forward from this immediate response with Fire Mountain is to move into more of a predictive planned process. And so for instance, as we go forward, we're going to have our routes planned out, our sampling planned out, our permitting will be already in place, getting all of this set up for some more longer term continuous maintenance of the lagoon. For the audience today with Fire Mountain, to give an example, we're looking at possibly up to 12 truckloads per day moving through Carbon River's edge of hauled liquid biosolids through the development. So it's very impactful, but for a short term, I think that'll be okay. But for long term, we want to reduce that down to 2-3 trucks a day during the time which we're removing the solids, so it's not as impactful in the neighborhoods. So we need to come up with a better, more solid, sustainable plan moving forward. Another item that is not part of this, but it's going to be essential to it, is the restoration of the lagoon itself. A lot of, from the surface, it looks like it's just a large body of water where solids settle out and they just reside there. But it's actually an active biological process with a lot of equipment right now that's currently in the field, or I'll say in need of upgrading. And it needs to be returned to service. And we need to look at some maintenance issues with the lagoon going forward to help us from being in this situation again with where we're reacting to concerns from the Department of Ecology. So we're looking at more of a longer term picture for making this to where it's more sustainable going forward and everything. Councilmember Reed.
Somewhere in your paperwork, I read that we dredged this how long ago, the last time?
About 700 plus or minus right less.
Okay.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds to me like we're reinventing the wheel here. Do we have a company that did it before? Can they do it again? Is it, they do it for close to the cost? Can we estimate by that?
So you have to do open competitive bidding. You can't just go to them and say do it again. So the company that did it last time was American Process Group, and they're based out of Canada. And I think the city tried to.
I approached them. Yeah.
We got advantage last time. They had some equipment that was passing through, and so as their way back home to Canada, stopped in Orting, did a dewatering event for us, and then all the teas from Washington. They brought in centrifuges out of Canada, like I said. So timing was good there.
So did you not put together a plan? And
We're gonna reuse a lot of that, yeah.
and it's still going to be that much money?
The big component is the coordination with ecology, updating your sampling analysis plan. So the hope is that we can keep that cost down. We're using a lot of that. New site plans. One thing that we need the city to do that Mark mentioned is since the last time we did that, we don't have accurate, we need updated sludge steps. So you go out there with a tube and you see how deep they are, what the components are, your percentage of sludge. New materials testing as far as metals, things like that. So a lot of that coordination aspect and pulling that all together. So hopefully we can keep that cost down. That ecology factor is always something that, and then the permitting side of things that tends to take a little bit more time.
So we're kind of on a deadline of getting this started.
Yeah.
We gave them the normal time to go out for RFP and to get a provider and get going. They said that isn't fast enough.
It sounds like we're still behind even though we hired a new city administrator, it sounds like it's still with the load he's got already for the other projects in the city. This is a major thing, just getting all these permits in place so they can do the dredging. I'm just going to throw it out. There's a possibility we can hire you as an assistant administrator just to do this project, to get it online. And I mean, Brian's got a huge project. All the other stuff that's going to cities. This sounds like we're just being overwhelmed.
we're busy, but you know, the kind of pieces the mayor's doing right now is to ensure that we are on top of these things. And, you know, we're getting there. You know, we have a new, Public Works Director starting here first week of August. We think we're going to have the pieces in place to really be able to do this and do it well.
You guys have a plan.
We do.
Oh, this sounds overwhelming to me, but
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilmember Reed.
Go ahead.
Councilmember Williams and then
Go ahead.
Therese. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
So, this 57,000, is that a hard number or is this like a T&M thing? If you get it done easier, is it less or?
Yeah, it's T and M, so, you know, it's a not to exceed, number, so if we were, if, you know, we go over, I'd have to come back to the city for amendment. The hope is that we're under, like, Councilmember Reed mentioned, hoping to reuse as much of those documents, as we can. I just know that, the back and forth with biosolids compliance, what we call it, is gonna take some time with some reviews.
Okay. Councilmember Therese.
Yeah. There's different classifications of sludge, correct?
Biosolids,
Mm-hmm.
I say class B, yeah.
We are a class B.
You know,
Awarding.
Water, and meet certain standards, you will meet class B, yes.
Okay. And all this sludge will be taken to Eastern Washington, correct?
So.
Okay.
Depending for class B land application, you can't have public access. So it goes on, wheat fields and forests in Eastern Washington. There's also requirements about runoff, rain, things like that. So that's why it heads over to the dry side.
Okay, so when you talked about last winter, when the previous administration spent, I think it was $500,000 on an emergency, was that to cover this? What's happening right now?
That was just, yeah, so that was, because it was winter, we had to put it in the geotubes. So this project would have them take what's out of the geotubes, dewater that as well as what's in the lagoon. So, just due to the weather constraints and the timing, we had to get it out then, so the geotubes was the option that was selected there.
So that 500,000 has been spent already?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Tracy.
So, the 300 dry tons, how many liquid tons is that?
there's-
We're not drying that, right?
You know,
Yeah.
They actually do have here on the west side a permitted site, although they have extremely limited capacity they can take. So they can take those 300 here locally. I don't know if they further process it, but they can haul it as pure liquid. Much shorter hauling route, so you're not paying as much in obviously diesel to go to the east side.
I guess what I'm getting at is 300 dry tons. If you take a pump truck or something and start sucking sludge out of there, you're getting a lot of liquid. So it's only a percentage that is considered dry tons, right?
Yeah,
So go ahead.
0.75% estimated solids in your lagoon, so
Yeah.
it's extremely wet.
Right, right.
Liquid,
So,
yeah.
so when you say 300 dry tons, I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot, but you're taking a lot of liquid with that
Yes,
too.
yep,
So
yeah.
it's more than 75, what you're looking at 1,000,000 tons or whatever it is.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
They got double axle tankers running for 8 hours.
Talking about so many
in the
trips
neighborhoods, yeah.
through the
Yep.
neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The liquid stuff. So we're going to look at in the future, which is going to be costly too, at drying it before it goes out, or not totally drying it, but getting it down to a 15% dewatering, going through
Yeah.
a screw press or something.
Yeah, yep.
So they add polymer to make it bind better. They'll screen it, add polymer, and then put dewater it. It gets you 15-17% is pretty good performance on a screw press.
How well did the bags work?
I think they're working. They take time. I haven't been out recently to see. I know they've been tracking it, so.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Questions from council? Councilmember Reed? Okay, Councilmember Hogan?
So, Mayor, what are you asking for? You're asking
know-
us to,
Thank you. It's not on your agenda this evening,
Right.
but every day, every week counts. We did discuss that this could come back July the 8th. I would appreciate it if we could get moving today on this. And I do have a written motion that could be made to authorize us to move forward with parametrics to get this RFP moving so that we can get out to bid. We're really racing the timeline of the weather, and 2 weeks could make a difference for us.
thank you. I'd be, if you got the motion there, I'd be willing to present it and see where it goes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's written on the bottom. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Councilmember Tracy.
No, go ahead, Don.
If you're not finished, go ahead.
Really quick, Dan has his hand up. I'm gonna see if we can get him.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Thank you. Dan Lloyd,
Can you hear me, Mayor?
attorney. We're not getting any audio.
You're not there.
Would you like us to give you a phone call and we can relay it through?
Do it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, stand by.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Because this is a special meeting, the only action that can be authorized, sorry, I take my headset off, I'm getting feedback. The only motion that can move forward is to authorize the scope of work that is attached to the agenda bill. There can't be any deviations from that. So if council wants to move forward with authorizing that specific scope of work, then it can do that. Beyond that, the council's hands are tied under the rules under the Public Meeting Act.
So that motion look like, can you give us a little hand here? What would that motion look like, attorney?
Can you say that again?
What that motion look like? Can you give us an example?
Yeah, if I can share my screen, I actually wrote one out.
You should be able to.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Looks awful similar to what we wrote. Okay, Councilmember Tracy. Oh, it was to Councilmember Hogan.
I'm gonna shoot for this right now. Move to approve and authorize the scope of work attached to AB 2677 with the city's on-call engineer parametrics for a not to exceed amount of $57,095.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Hogan, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sprawl. Comments or questions from council?
But so this is just what parametrics is going to do to get us started so we can go for the RFP, correct?
But this would be the RFP, so we can go to bid.
It would be bid documents as
Bid
well.
documents, yeah.
Okay, they're gonna,
Yes. Prepare the contract, then bid, goes to the paper.
right. But that's what we're paying the 57 for,
That's
correct?
correct, yeah.
To get
Yep.
it to go out to bid.
Yep,
Okay, thank
exactly.
you.
Thank you. Councilmember Williams?
So, for clarification, the 300 dry tons that we're talking about is getting removed before this RFP?
That's correct. Yes, and if we can take more, we'll take more under the emergency proclamation. But right now we're looking at 300 dry tons is what they're permitted for that site to remove.
And what's that cost gonna be?
It's about 650,000.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, Councilmember Tracy.
I just, voting this in now, is it beneficial for, I mean, in other words, you're kind of on high alert to get this thing run through. I mean,
Yeah.
we're wanting to get it going to
Yeah,
get the Department of Ecology off our back. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Then it'll be just a question of how much can we afford to remove at this time and get in good graces. So,
Well, when you said 300 dry tons or more if possible, that's
Yeah.
not going to be part of this bid.
no,
here,
no,
right?
no, this is just,
going
yeah,
further on the emergency
Yeah, the
proclamation.
problem
Yeah.
for Fire Mountain is they can only apply so much there in Eatonville. It's a farm near Eatonville. They're limited by the amount of ground there. So it's up to 300 dry tons. I don't,
Yeah.
we certainly have asked them to look if they can find any ability to go further. But they seem pretty limited.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Deputy Mayor Sprawl.
That 300 dry tons, how much is that going to save us as far as like the freeboard? I mean, you know, what are we getting for the bang for our buck for $600,000?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
You know, we know that it will look different. It will be lower than it is now, but they really can't share with us what the board feet will look like. It's too, yeah.
Showing that you're taking the actual apologies and points settling that, and then continuing through the advertising for bids.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Reed.
Do we need to drive to Canada to find that other company?
I've been in touch with them and they're just not willing to respond to this at this point.
There are
Are
some
there-
other local vendors though that may be potentially able to do the job as well. So, and including Fire Mountain is may also be bidding on it with a different type of equipment and different type of application site.
Gotcha.
And so, you know, there's bidders that want for this work. So we'll reach out to the ones that we're aware of and kind of give them a heads up. Are the one I'll bid on Canada, just, and other projects that have bid recently, do a little bit of market sounding, but they look for it in the newspaper, they get notifications, and then they'll bid on.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Sprawl.
Any risk of nobody bidding on this? And then what are our options after that?
Always there is.
Yeah.
There are options after that, or, emergency direct contracting. And it gets very costly, so.
Right. Thank you. Good question though. Councilmember Williams.
So was this something that was supposed to be done before previously, or did this just get sprung on us or what? I mean, was this ignored or?
That's my question.
Oh, I'm not quite sure. Are you talking about like with us now, right now?
Well, that's
Oh.
what, like the previous administration was this supposed to happen a year or two ago?
I'm really focused on going forward, but
How did we arrive here?
but for the last 5 years, it was not budgeted in the budget.
I mean, how did we get here? To this point? where
I
I've
think-
only
I
been on the
think-
council
I
for
think
5 months.
the city's focus, I'm gonna represent the past, which I was not here to know, but was on building a new solids treatment facility. And so I'm assuming that that's where the energy went, was to build a new solids treatment facility. But at the same time, you're still putting solids into your lagoon. And so the lagoon was quietly filling up, so to speak, over a period of time. And it's at a point, you have growth, additional growth. The lagoon's filling up faster. We're not removing the solids. And it's just basically become kind of a delayed maintenance type of situation.
Okay.
And it
delayed
got us into,
maintenance? Is
yeah,
that
it
what
got
it
us
is?
into a situation, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
somebody dropped the ball then?
Evidently, I like to do.
Point of order.
Point of order, yep.
talk
you.
to what about what we've got in front of us, the
Thank you.
All right.
motion.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Digger. Okay, motion on the floor. Any comments from the audience prior to vote? Nope. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Councilmember Holland, was he good?
No, it's still not working.
Still not working.
I can relay the vote, Councilmember Holland. I can hear, Councilmember Holland.
Oh,
Okay. Do we have a yay?
his vote.
Yes, you have a yes.
We have a yay.
Yes.
Thumbs up. Thank you, council. I appreciate it. And we'll go forward with this. Okay, we've reached the end of our meeting, and we have nothing for executive session this evening. But I would like to offer the council a few moments and myself the opportunity to thank interim city administrator Mark Bethune for the work done in the last 6 months, uniting our city. So last meeting. So any comments from council?
I appreciate everything that you've done for the city over the last 6 months, stepping into that position once again and helping us out, and do appreciate it, and hope you enjoy your retirement.
Thank you. I'll
Thank
just say
you.
that the mayor and I met with every one of you guys, and we worked very hard to meet the issues that you brought up with us.
Councilor Williams.
Yes, I don't think the citizens even have a clue with what you went through for the last 6 months and how hard you worked for the good of this town. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Intense, but a pleasure.
I think we have a sent in message coming in.
Yeah, I would say thank you. It's been a pleasure again. Great to see you back, but also I was like, what are you doing back? I've told the story before. It's funny as well. I don't know what you said, Councilmember Williams. And I was playing along and someone joined me, and he was the city administrator for Eatonville, and we started talking, and then he said, I've been a general contractor, I've been a public works director, I've been a city engineer. City administrator is the hardest job I've ever had in my life. And I don't know how the city administrators do it. I know you've got it coming from every direction. So, like you all said, Mark's given us heart and soul as a community, and we took this building to thank him for it. He worked really hard for this. So, Mark's been here for my entire career, minus a few years, but it's been really fun, and I hope he stays in touch with all of us. So, thank you, Mark.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it was a good choice that the mayor made to bring you back. I was kind of wondering what was going to happen. And I've dealt with you when I wasn't a councilman, and I've dealt with you now as a councilman, and nothing but good things.
Thanks, Don.
So,
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I would just have a card from council.
Yeah.
Here, please, so.
Thanks. Thank you.
did you put the lottery ticket in?
All right. Okay, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made, seconded.